Internet, in this MLB The Show series, Whiteboard Wednesday, I often come to you with stupid opinions, terrible drawings, and some quotes that don't make any sense. Today I come to you with an innovative, yet simple, new mechanic that can make MLB The Show more fun than ever before. How you doing, everybody? My name is Kenny, aka kdjTV. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel for the first time. I appreciate you guys being here. As always, do the YouTube stuff. Like, comment your thoughts, subscribe, share it, tell your grandma, do it all. Today we are talking about something called the Live Series Fantasy League. And, up front, I can take no credit for the creation of this idea. I might have helped shape it along the way, as have several of my homies, but credit goes to Chris, aka Batflip Gaming, former streamer, current homie. Live Series Fantasy is just a great way to incorporate live series cards, your friends, custom leagues, season-long stuff, rivalries, matchups, playoff. It's incredible. It's a lot of fun. I did it once a couple years ago. It's kind of laid dormant for a little while, but I think it's time to bring it back. So without further ado, let's talk about the Live Series Fantasy League. First, let's just talk about why this is fun. I think anybody can make fun of anything that they like to do, but this is going to be a great time. Why? Because fantasy sports are addictive. I don't have to explain to you why that's the case. I know how many fantasy football leagues you all are in, like 37 each. They're time-consuming, but in a good way. Like, it's a good time sink. It's time spent with the fellas, it's time spent planning, it's time spent having a good time. There is strategy involved, there is sabotage involved, and it's fun. It's just a great way to exercise your brain muscles, especially with, wait until we talk about just how cool this is. You'll understand why it's a great exercise of thinking. Fantasy sports are taking over the lexicon. I mean, they've already taken over the lexicon if we're being perfectly honest, so let's incorporate fantasy sports in MLB The Show and just bring it all full circle. Alright, the very basic rules of Live Series Fantasy League before we talk about drafting and roster construction and all these types of things, the rules are as follows. Number one, this is a custom league. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. You will have to manage it yourself. Perhaps there'll be a commissioner and a co-commissioner. Perhaps everybody will have power. I don't know. That's up to you. All-Stars should be the default setting just to kind of level the playing field for everybody. If you're playing with a group of goons, put it on Hall of Fame or Legend. You guys all suck. Just kidding. Not really suck, but you guys aren't that good. Put it on Veteran. Hell, play it on Rookie for the memes. I think All-Star is the best place, though. Every competitor, whether it's 6 teams, 10 teams, 12 teams, however many teams you want to include, every competitor chooses their own home park, and that is where they will play all home games for the duration of the year. It can be any stadium, though I suggest you eliminate the stupid ones, like Polo Grounds, and Shieldwoods, and Capitol Lang, etc. I think it goes without saying, but I wrote it down anyway. Since this is a Live Series Fantasy League, we're only using Live Series players. And there are 30 roster spots, 26 to the active roster, and 4 flex positions that you can kind of bob and weave with whenever you feel the need. So here is how it all works. The reason Live Series Fantasy is really cool is because technically it could have 2 champions. It might not. It might be the same person that wins both. But in all reality, there will probably be 2 champions. First of all, you have your true champion. The one who wins the most games, makes their way through the playoffs, and wins the championship. That goes without any sort of explanation. But then the interesting part. The most interesting part, what makes the Live Series Fantasy League so unique, is the roster champion. We're going to talk about, of course, a little more depth when it comes to drafting. But the roster champion is the player who sees their roster increase in overall average rating by the end of the year. The whole point of the Live Series Fantasy League is to balance your favorite players and the best cards with some of the guys who are unsung and rated really low early in the year, and you think they'll skyrocket in overall. Great example this year would have been someone like Cody Bellinger. He's a little bit of an outlier because he's kind of established, but if you thought Cody Bellinger was going to right the ship in Chicago, you might have drafted him this year as like a bronze or silver, whatever he was, and just knew he was going to go diamond. And because he went diamond, you, as the owner of Cody Bellinger, got a ton of a boost, a major boost. A ton of a boost? What is that? You, the owner, got a major boost in terms of your average rating. So it works that easy. This is also a great way to include prospects and things of that nature. Playing the league is simple. My suggestion is that each player has 2 games a week they have to play, and it's between you and your opponent as to when they're played. There is no set schedule. So you can talk to your opponents that you're scheduled to play that week, say, hey, are you good at Tuesday at 9 p.m.? and play the game. The 2 games per week thing, of course, could change based on how many people are in your league, how committed everybody is, and things of that nature. But my suggestion is 2 games a week. So the draft is pretty self-explanatory, but here's the way it works best. 2 years ago, when we did this league, it might have even been 3 years ago. It was a really long time ago. It was a lot of fun, though. We did 30 rounds, a snake draft. A snake draft, of course, because that's the way things work. You have to be able to keep it fair. There are a lot of players, potentially, and all the rosters have to be even, unless one of the managers is an absolute moron, and they just ruin the draft by making stupid picks. The draft is done entirely offline because it is a custom league, and there's currently no functionality to make it work within the league. So that means you also have to keep track of your own roster, and keep track of the selections being made. I recommend bringing up like an Excel spreadsheet or something. It's a lot of work, trust me, I understand, because I've done it before and I've built the spreadsheet before, but it's just going to make everything go smoothly over Discord. And then the other big thing, because it is all done offline, it's not as if the rosters are then going to be preloaded onto your custom league. It's up to all of you guys just to be fair and manage your own roster accordingly. Only use players you're supposed to use. Another reason why this is so interesting is because there are no in-season free agent pickups. There are additional drafts, so you can add players that get called up. You can add players that have already started spiking in overall. It's a great way to just keep things fresh every month. You can do 6 weeks. Hell, you can only do 1 in-season draft around the All-Star break if you want to. It's entirely up to you. These additional drafts are just 3 rounds. You don't need them to be very long because the player pool is already kind of figured out because most of the players are rostered, but you can still only keep 30 players as your roster limit. So technically you can even skip rounds if you want to, just to preserve the roster you currently have. That is up to you. It's kind of more like a supplemental draft, if that makes sense. And then roster management is honestly really simple. All trades have to be even, both in terms of fairness and in terms of 1 player for 1 player, 2 players for 2 players. It just makes it easy that way because there's no free agency or waiver period in between drafts. So if you end up having 31 players on your roster, you can't drop one. If you end up having 29, you can't pick one up. All trades just have to be even. Your bench players or your reserve players, those 4 extra that are not on the active 26, can swap in and out before any game whenever. You don't have to claim it. You don't have to say, hey guys, I'm activating this person and benching this person. It's your roster. Do with it what you want. And when it comes to pitching decisions, we're using the honor system here. You have 5 starters on your team. I guess technically maybe 6, 7, or 8 if you have some of them in your reserves. But your starting 5, you have to use your 5 starters in a row. You can't just pitch like live series Garrett Cole or Shohei Ohtani every single game. You have to strategize. Think about who are my upcoming opponents, who's better, who's worse, who hits him, and just kind of figure it out for yourself. It makes it more fun, I promise. And what comes along with that is that no starters are available out of the bullpen unless you're using an opener, and you'd have to declare that you're using an opener. Theoretically, that opener can pitch the whole game, I guess, if you want, but you have to declare that. There are so many strategies to think about when putting together your roster. I remember doing this and having a blast live in the draft. Of course, the homies were there making it fun, we were laughing and whatnot, but either way, just drafting was a lot of fun. You could decide to completely screw overall and say, you know what, I'm taking my favorite players, the best swings, I don't care what they're rated, I'm just trying to win the actual championship. Or you could ask yourself, is it worth drafting diamond players for your overall, or just draft for upside and hopefully you catch lightning in a bottle? Maybe there's value there. Maybe you can get a guy super late in the draft who ends up being just an absolute gold or diamond stud later on. Are you not that good of a player? I mean, theoretically, you could just go for all prospects and try to win that roster championship, hope a couple of them hit, maybe 4, 5, 6 of them hit, and you're golden. And with every draft, you have to decide which positions are you punting. When am I drafting a bullpen? Am I really good with silver Marcus Stroman and I don't need to worry about drafting a 5th starter till later on? There's a plethora, a bevy, a cornucopia for the fall. Options that are at your disposal. You can do whatever you want. Remember, when you're doing the draft, you have to fulfill every position. If you don't draft a second baseman, you're playing someone out of position. You're fucked. Always remember lefty relievers. They get lost in the sauce when you're doing these drafts. Trust me, from first-hand experience. Remember speed. You might want to pinch run to win a game. Remember platoons, lefty-righty splits. Put some guys on the bench who can do something. Know your opponent's roster and pitching staff when you go into a matchup. Like, hey, I might need more righty bats who can hit lefties. You never know. And then lastly, think about defense. A lot of these live series cards suck something fierce in the field. It might not be a bad idea to have a couple defensive replacements on hand, especially ones who could play like 5 positions. And I close today by saying I am bringing back my own live series fantasy league for MLB The Show 24. Do you want in? We're going to have to figure out some way to figure out who's in this damn league, because I can't have all of you as much as I'd like. I already know a couple homies who want to be in it, who were in the first league. They're going to be in this one too, so we're going to have to figure it out. But together, we can have a great time playing live series fantasy in MLB The Show 24. What do you guys think of this concept? I think it's a ton of fun, and I think you should all try it with your homies, and let's blow this up. And maybe there's a way it gets incorporated, like, legitimately into MLB The Show in the future. I don't know if that's possible, but hey, I know they're listening. Thank you guys for being here and making it to the end. If you have any suggestions on how to make this even cooler, let me know in the comments down below. And until next time, adios.